In this video, we're going to talk about dependencies. What is a dependency? A dependency is simply a class or an object that another class or object depends upon. Let's see an example. Let's say we are building a simple book catalog application using a typical three-layered architecture. So we will have a presentation layer which contains a form for the user to enter book information, a business logic layer which contains a class called book service that contains business logic, and finally a data access layer which contains a class called book repository to hold data access logic using entity framework core. Let's focus on the business logic and data access logic layers and not worry about the presentation layer for now. The book repository class contains a method called addBookAsync that book service wants to invoke. So a book service object depends on a book repository object for its functionality. So we can say the book repository object is a runtime dependency. But just because a book service object depends on a book repository object at runtime, it doesn't mean that the book service class itself should create an object of book repository. But if that happens, then the book repository class will be a compile time dependency as well. Let's see some sample code to understand this better. I have opened up a Visual Studio solution with two class library projects in it, one for the business logic layer and another for the data access layer. In the business logic layer project, I have a class called book service, and in the data access layer project, I have a class called book repository. If we go to the book service class, we see it creates an object of book repository in its constructor. And down here, it calls its addBookAsync method. So just because a book service object needs to use a book repository object's addBookAsync method, the book service class ends up creating an object of book repository. So now the book repository class is a compile time dependency as well. So with this, we can say that the direction of our runtime dependency matches the direction of our compile time dependency, which is from book service to book repository. In the next video, we will take a look at the dependency inversion principle and see specifically how our code violates the principle.